Welcome. Today we're going to look at this incredibly powerful formula that you see again and again in some very old texts. It's a pattern, really, and it's designed to explain the actual mechanics of our stress, our dissatisfaction, basically all the stuff that makes us feel uneasy in our lives.
So let's just dive right in with the big question, the one I think we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why do we feel stressed out? I mean, where does that nagging, low-level feeling of unease really come from?
To even begin to answer that, we have to get familiar with this one key term, dukkha. Now, you often hear this translated as just suffering, but it's so much more than that. Think of it as the background hum of unsatisfactoriness, that persistent feeling that something is just a little bit off, whether it's a huge problem or just a tiny little irritation.
All right, so the text we're pulling from, the Samanyutta, it starts its whole explanation at the most basic place imaginable: how we experience the world through our senses.
Okay, now this is where the core pattern just jumps right out at you. The text says that the very arising of the I, its existence, its coming into being, is tied to the arising of dukkha. And on the flip side, its calming, its disappearance, which is called nirodha, is the path to the end of dukkha. It's two sides of the same coin.
And this isn't just about what you see, not at all. This slide really shows how big this idea is. The exact same formula gets applied to everything: the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and, this is a really important one, the mind itself, which is treated like a sixth sense organ that perceives thoughts. But, it goes even a level deeper than that. The text then takes the same logic and applies it not just to our sense organs, but to the things they perceive. So the arising of sights, sounds, smells, tastes, physical feelings, and even ideas, yep, you guessed it, follows the exact same pattern. So let's see how this all connects, because these aren't just a bunch of random separate events. The texts lay out how they all link together, creating this kind of chain reaction that can turn a simple act of seeing something into a full-on emotional experience. This map here lays it out just perfectly. Okay, so first you've got a sense organ, like your eye. Then there's an object, like a beautiful landscape. When those two meet, a specific awareness pops up. In this case, eye consciousness. The meeting of those three things is called contact. And from that contact, a feeling is born. And that feeling can be pleasant, unpleasant, or just kind of neutral. So here's the absolute key to this whole section. Our main formula, that uppāda and nirodha, it applies to every single link in that chain. The arising of eye consciousness is the arising of dukkha. The arising of contact is the arising of dukkha. The arising of a feeling is the arising of dukkha. And of course, the calming of each one is the calming of dukkha. See the pattern?
And believe it or not, the chain keeps going, moving deeper and deeper into our minds. So that initial feeling leads to perception. That's when we recognize and label something, that's a good thing or that's a bad thing. That then leads to intention, which is the mental push to do something about it. And that fuels craving, the desire to grab onto what's pleasant or shove away what's unpleasant. And the formula applies to all of them.
Okay, so after showing us in incredible detail how this pattern of suffering arises in literally every corner of our experience, the texts then offer this really hopeful counterpoint, the mechanics of how it all ends.
The word here is nirodha, and it's so important to get what it means. It doesn't mean we have to, destroy or annihilate anything. It's much closer to a calming, a settling down, an appeasement. It's kind of like a fire that gently goes out on its own once you stop throwing fuel on it. It's a disappearance, not a destruction.
And the texts are super clear about why this all matters so much. The path of uppāda, of this constant arising that's fueled by our reactions, is described as the persistence of disease and the manifestation of aging and death. But the path of nirodha, the path of calming and cessation, is described as their appeasement, their disappearance. The stakes are pretty high.
So after breaking our experience down into all these little individual pieces, senses, objects, consciousness, contact, feeling, all that, the final text in this series kind of zooms out and bundles everything together into 5 main groups. These are what's known as the 5 aggregates, or khandhas. And this is basically the framework used to describe the whole shebang, everything we conventionally call our self and our entire experience of the world around us.
And this table just lays it all out beautifully. You've got rupa, that's all physical stuff. Vedana, that's the feeling tone we talked about, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Sanya, our perceptions, our labels for things. Sankhara, all our intentions and other mental formations. And finally, vijnana, which is just that basic awareness or consciousness of it.
And this brings us to the grand finale of the whole thing, this incredibly powerful all-in-one statement. It says, the arising of these 5 bundles of experience is the arising of dukkha, and their calming and cessation is the cessation of dukkha. That's it. That's the whole formula.
So what this all points to really is this massive shift in how we see ourselves. Our sense of me, our experience of the world, it isn't some solid, permanent thing. It's more like a flickering flame or a flowing river, a dynamic process of these 5 things constantly popping into being and passing away every single moment.
And that right there is the key takeaway for today. According to this ancient formula, our entire relationship with stress and feeling unsatisfied is tied directly to understanding this process. It stops being about getting rid of a thing called suffering, and it becomes about understanding the very nature of this flow.
And so, to finish up, let's turn this ancient idea into a really present, really personal question. Forget the text for a second. Just notice your own experience, right here, right now. Can you observe a thought just appear? A feeling arise? Can you hear a sound come and then go? That is the process happening right in front of you.